On the 18th of February 2014, a man is captured on CCTV entering a pawn shop in Gloucester, England, with a carrier bag containing a DVD player. He gets a £5 for the DVD player and then, as again shown by CCTV, he spends it in a DIY shop across the road. His purchase is a 12-inch kitchen knife. In the course of the 6 years before this trip to the shops, this same man had been arrested no fewer than 23 times for a range of offences and had been involved in as many as 24 violent incidents. 17 of these involved 3 of his previous girlfriends, 3 involved his mother, and the remaining 4 involved unnamed individuals. Half an hour after this trip to the shops, the man was once again captured on CCTV at a taxi rank. His name was Asher Maslin, and he had just murdered his girlfriend in a busy hairdresser's. Now viewer, if I've got you hooked on the story so far, do subscribe, give the video a like, drop a comment when you're ready and donate. Hit the thanks button below, I'll appreciate you. When 19-year-old Hollie Gazzard meets a handsome 21-year-old in the bar where she works, she's looking forward to her upcoming cruise to the Caribbean. Coming from a close-knit, loving family, which includes her parents and her sister, Hollie is passionate about hairdressing. She jumps at her father's suggestion that she should get a hairdressing job on a cruise ship when, soon after qualifying, she tells him of her plans to travel the world. It's a 9-month trip and she's been looking forward to it for months now. Only now she's going out with this gorgeous lad that she met at work and she's really excited about him as well. Hollie's new boyfriend is Asher Maslin from nearby Cheltenham, who works as a security guard. Initially, Hollie finds him somewhat overpowering.
She just sort of said, I've met this guy, he wouldn't leave me alone, was how she worded it.
But after a few dates with him, Hollie is seriously into him.
They went out for a few meals, a couple of dates, and then that was when she said, it's going well. So, you know, as a friend, I was just like, oh, like, good for you, it must be going well.
At this point, Maslin may not have realised it, but he was already known to 2 key people in his girlfriend's life, and neither Hollie's close friend Kaylee nor Hollie's mother think particularly well of him.
I just always remember him as, you know, I would maybe describe it as like a top dog. You know, he was walking around with a comb in his hair. You know, he thought he was the I am big man.
My wife worked at the local school as a dinner lady, and she knew a little bit about him. He had a bit of a reputation at school, being a bit of a bad boy.
Hollie tells her friends one night that her boyfriend is just being a dickhead, but that everything is okay. She's naturally embarrassed by his sour behaviour, but doesn't want her friends to worry. Her boyfriend's possessive and controlling ways towards her, however, which started soon after she finally returned from her tour of the Caribbean, are growing more and more public.
He wanted her to be at home and be in control of that situation.
I could see he was just watching her, trying to cause arguments with her, being very possessive.
He just wouldn't leave her alone, you know. He had to know what she was doing every minute of every day.
The night that Hollie tries to make light of her boyfriend's actions is when he has been following her and her 2 friends from bar to bar, publicly demanding that she should go home with him right away.
He appeared outside the nightclub, wanting Hollie to go home.
Like, he didn't want her to be out and having fun and drinking.
I could just see the look in his eye. He just looked so angry.
Hollie's family and friends, moreover, soon sussed the true reason why Hollie cut her trip to the Caribbean short. Having waited months to spend 9 months touring the West Indies aboard a luxury cruise ship, Hollie had come home after a single week.
It wasn't until you looked into it properly and you thought, oh, has she actually come back early because of Maslin? Has Maslin been contacting her saying, you know, come home?
We believe that he bombarded her with telephone calls, text, FaceTime, that really got into her psyche and made her uncomfortable in terms of being away from home so far, and persuaded her, I think, to come home. You know, he was like that.
The moodiness and slight aggressiveness that Hollie now comes home with whenever she's been out with her boyfriend is a change in her that her parents both notice and duly resent. Their resentment, though, is not by any means directed at their daughter. Hollie, he's made you ditch the travelling that you were so looking forward to. He's trying to strip you of your independence. He doesn't love you. He doesn't respect you. He's just a bully. Get away from him now, please. If that's what you're thinking, you're not alone. When Maslin briefly steps outside of the restaurant where Hollie's family are celebrating Hollie's mother's birthday, Hollie reassures her family that Maslin's behaviour is simply down to drink. In addition to behaving offensively towards the restaurant staff, you see, Maslin has been picking on his girlfriend. From whistling to her for attention to making rude and embarrassing comments about her, he has systematically humiliated her. To her family's dismay, after the meal, Hollie willingly returns to London with her boyfriend. Moving to Edgware, North London, with Hollie was Maslin's way of isolating Hollie from her family and friends. Maslin is jealous. He won't give Hollie any space and resents her spending time with anyone other than him. Even her being at work is no excuse for her not to be with him. And closing time is when he likes to call by at her salon.
He would sort of arrive just as we were doing the clean down of the salon and we were cashing up and things like that. So he would be around and hanging around for easily 20, 30, 40 minutes sometimes. Maslin
is forever on the phone to Hollie.
And he was constantly texting her, constantly calling her. We'd even noticed that when she was in her bedroom, you know. She'd have to switch her phone off at night because of the amount of text and calls from him.
It's as if he has forgotten why he and Hollie are no longer living in London and are no longer living together. He should be mindful of those two facts, however, because he has taken to stalking his girlfriend in her very home back in Gloucester, however late it might be and however drunk he is.
He would follow her, we think. He came here a couple of times. We know people have said that he was loitering about 100 yards away from our home. We had a knock on the door about 12 o'clock at night, and it was Maslin. He was drunk. He said, "Can I come in?" We had to say to Hollie, we don't want him round the house anymore.
At Notting Hill Carnival 2013, some weeks prior to his late night house call, Maslin threw Hollie to the ground. To him, you see, it was her fault that he'd lost contact with her for the previous 5 minutes. I believe that, if nobody else, Maslin's nephew, who Hollie had in the previous 5 minutes taken to the toilet, saw Maslin's violent behaviour towards Hollie. That said, this was Carnival. I believe as such that many other people witnessed Maslin's violence against his girlfriend, and if so, Maslin clearly didn't care. This may well have been a preempting of his fatal act of violence against Hollie that took place a few months later, once again, very publicly. Hollie and Maslin were back together just a few weeks after Hollie walked out on Maslin for pushing her down at Carnival. To be exact, Maslin moved back in with his mother in Cheltenham only days after Hollie returned to her own parents' home in Gloucester, which she did a day or two after Carnival. After the subsequent occasion of Maslin's late-night harassment of Hollie and her family in their home, Hollie's father, Nick, ordered Hollie never to see Maslin again. In the course of Hollie's subsequent complaint to the police about Maslin's behaviour, her family learned of Maslin's previous threats to beat Hollie up, throw acid in her face and harm her family if she ever leaves him. Hollie's family already knew of Maslin's latest threat against both them and Hollie, which Maslin made around Valentine's Day 2014, since they are what prompted Hollie to turn to the police. Threatening Hollie and her family wasn't all Maslin did when, on Valentine's Day 2014, in a busy pub, Hollie told him their relationship was over. After sneakily following Hollie to her car when she left the pub, he jumped in, stole her bank card and, after getting back out, went to the nearest cash point and withdrew £300. Earlier on in the pub, when Hollie told him that they were done, he had thundered at her and told her she had a cold heart. Maslin's response to learning that the police are now after him is, firstly, to threaten Hollie anew, and secondly, to make a trip on the 18th of February 2014 to Gloucester Town Centre. He sells his DVD player, buys a 12-inch kitchen knife, then hastily makes his way to a nearby hairdresser's. Moments later, customers and staff members of the hairdressers are racing to the back room to join the salon owner. On seeing Maslin enter the salon owner, a lady called Sean, had gone into the back to call the police exactly as she and Hollie had previously agreed that she should do in the event that Maslin should come calling. What Sean was now learning was that Maslin had come with a knife. Hollie's death, which came 2 hours after Maslin's visit to the salon, was due to loss of blood. In less than 2 minutes, after first punching Hollie in the face, Maslin had stabbed her 14 times. Hollie was 20. The fact that Maslin eventually pleaded guilty to Hollie's murder does not, by any measure, means that he feels remorse for his actions.
When he was taken away, he got up and he looked up and smirked and nodded.
He did not show any remorse. He was disrespectful to the judge. It really made us angry. It made me certainly angry and boiling inside that how could you still treat Hollie, us, the courts the way you do.
The Hollie Gazzard Trust, which was set up by Hollie's parents, educates the young in the matter of domestic violence. Maslin got 24 years. If this video has gripped you, I recommend you to watch this one next. I'll meet you there.